We're continuing to button up all the tubes and lines. Scott's doing the leg arms is doing the intercooler lines.
Ah! What is that?
Oh boy, that's weird. What happened there?
Oh, I got it out, by the way. I'll go get it.
Anyways, I got the radiator lines hooked up on the bottom. We got the top tube. I'm just waiting for it to dry, put some paint on it. The air cleaner, it's got the filter in it. No oil in the engine yet. No coolant, obviously, yet. Boost lines, once we get them all hooked up, then there's a couple of more lines we got to do. Some odds and ends sensors and wires, but it's not far off. That was in your body.
It was actually fairly deep.
Wow, look at that thing. Ugh, good thing it was big enough the magnet pulled it out.
That was in there for like 2 days. You just had a piece of me, Nick. That was... Yeah.
Should have left it.
Yeah, it was stuck in there a ways.
Good. Well, that's nice that that's out. Okay. But I think I'm going to switch gears and I am going to tackle the back end of this thing. Take these off. We got some new fenders that are going on it, so we're going to pull those ones off. They'll be full fenders when we're done. And then while those are off, I'm going to, well, it really needs pressure wash, but I'm going to start cleaning all this frame up and get ready to paint it, so that way we can have a nice black frame back here. That's going to be a lot of work, a lot of fun, because we're not peeling everything off to paint it, so that's going to be, yeah. But it'll look really nice when it's done, and it'll last a long time, and that's what matters. Before I start peeling off the old fenders, I'd like to look and see what these new ones need for brackets, because I might be using some of the original bracketry to put these on. So we'll get this apart, and I can find out what we need. All right. So that's kind of what I was wondering. Looks like this needs to slide over that bracket right there, so I don't need to take that one off. So just the chrome stuff can come off, then that goes there. And then I believe there's supposed to be one back here. We might have to modify this a little bit and take these fenders off, or these mud flap holders off, and redo that. So we'll see. Or well, maybe that's what this is for right here. But that's what that's for. Bam, that's where that goes. Okay, so technically those can come off too. Of course you're gonna turn it. I don't have a deep 3/4 socket. I might be able to get it. No way. And I can't get it on this side. Nope. And the 1/2 inch impact is currently being occupied, so. Is it enough to turn this thing? Oh, you're so close. I'm not gonna stay on there. Oh man. Good. Split it there. Nope, we're going there. Well, that was entertaining. This is a little rotted out. Been cut before. You got all these different. That was mine. That's what's just been rotted and cut. It'll work. Oh, perfect. Busted it. That's what I wanted. Yeah, someone cut that. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna do the same. Done. Kind of clean. start cleaning this thing.
This side was pretty easy to put the boost line on because it's basically a straight shot. So there wasn't a whole lot of modifications. I did have to neck it down. There was a little bit bigger on this side to a tiny bit smaller on that side, which was fine. Just made a little adapter there. But the problem on this side is a little bit more, well, I kind of have to do a little bit more magic. So if you look here, this one's coming straight out. This one is going up at an angle. So I got to try to wrap this around and then go into here. Now I thought about I could just take this elbow off in the engine and make a new plate and put a new elbow on it and then get it to the right direction. Then I only have one bend. It's a lot of work. But I think what I'm going to do is try to get some elbows and make my own. Yeah. So anyways, made an adapter that can go from a little bit bigger to a little bit smaller. This is a smaller intercooler. The problem that we're dealing with is we'd love to use the other one from the other truck, but these come around from the outside. See where they go here? The other one goes up and over the radiator. Well, the problem with that is it's going to hit the fiberglass hood. We can't have that. Even though the ports, as you can tell right here, ports are a little bit bigger, it would be nice to have that, but we just can't. So we got to modify the tubes and get to match this thing. Yeah, I know, you're probably thinking you should have gotten a bigger one. Well, we probably should have, but you know what? I think it'll run fine. This thing's going to be a whole lot nicer than what was in this truck, so there's a win. But anyways, I'm going to start welding. I got a few pieces here that I'm going to start tacking together, and then keep making the bends to make it happen. So I took a marker and I marked roughly where I want to cut these tubings. I'm going to use a plasma cutter, cut them, and then I'm going to stick it back up there and see what it looks like. The hood shouldn't hit.
No.
It's the hood right here.
No, there's no way. There's no way. Okay. No, you're gonna have like this much clearance.
Okay, I'll weld that up.
Yeah, that looks good.
Sweet. Nick got the approval. I got the approval from Nick, is what I meant to say.
On this side, I can't get it out here. I can make room.
Done. Let's weld it up. Sweet. I think it'll work.
After climbing around the back of this thing, I noticed something we didn't see before. If you look under the fifth wheel plate here, there's these tons of layers of, looks like sheets of metal or shims or whatever. It's just rusted and swollen, and it actually curls this lip of the frame down a little bit. And meanwhile, the whole fifth wheel plate has an arch to it. Leg Arms had a good idea. He thought maybe the previous life of this truck was a dump bed. So like dump a big old bed with a hydraulic cylinder, and you know how it pulls back up on the truck when it lifts. Maybe that's why it's lifted this fifth wheel plate up and they just kept shimming underneath there. So what I think we're gonna do is we're gonna pull these bolts off the sides, pull this entire fifth wheel plate assembly off, clean all that up under there, clean all the rust out, and then we'll either put it back on and leave it, and when the next time this thing gets 40,000 pounds of grain on top of it, pushing it down with the grain trailer, it'll probably just push it right back to the frame. Or I could stuff, we got some rubber belting, I could put strips on each side just to kind of fill that gap in, and it'll squish down. Structurally, it's not compromised by any means. It's just I'd kind of like to get that cleaned up, so maybe we'll take it apart. You ready?
Now you want the skid steer?
Well, that's probably the best bet, and wrap a chain around it. That's what I'm thinking, put our fork over it and lift it up. In the process of taking those off, we broke about 90% of them. Look at that. Sheared that bolt right off. It's so swollen here. There was so much pressure, and these bolts were just rusted so much of this frame. It just sheared that off. So we got most of them off. It's probably a good thing we're doing this anyways. We're gonna lift this up, take it off like we said, and then I'll have to go through with a sledgehammer or an air chisel and try to bust out every one of those bolts that are still stuck in the frame. We'll go get a bunch of new grade 8 bolts and nuts and take care of that and put it back on after I clean it all up and get it all painted and looking nice. All right, you're free. Okay, you're good. You can go out. I'll flip it over and pressure wash the bottom of it and grind it. All right, so I need a pile of these. Doesn't even show what grade it is. Oh yeah, that's a grade 8, I can see right now. Grade 8, so let's get a bunch of grade 8 bolts that big. Should be easy. Perfect. Isn't that crazy? Look at all that. Let's take a look at the frame. What in the world? That is so crazy. I'll get something, we'll start scraping that off, but that is nuts. I just think it's rust. I mean, it looks like layers there. I don't know. I mean, maybe those are shims. They kept shimming it with something. But the frame, it looks a little thicker here, a little thinner there.
I don't think so, because this is flush here.
Huh. All right, I'll get a brush, clean it all up. That air chisel worked miracles. You guys saw that was awesome. Made a mess on the floor. Frame is a little thin right here. I don't like that. It rusted. It ate through this frame. Just sitting there. Just amazing what that salt does. And it ate that little thinner. This side isn't as bad. And it's a little thin right there. It is plated by this heavy angle iron on the side. So I mean, the frame's got strength to it, but it still makes me a little nervous. I don't like that. So we'll address that in a bit. I'll get the guys and we'll think about it. But at least now we know it's cleaned up. I'll brush it, get some nice paint in here, and then decide whether we want to try to reinforce the frame. I don't think it's structurally compromised. With that fifth wheel plate back on here, it's gonna bolt up tight with brand new grade 8s. So anyways, there, see? I didn't ignore it. We're addressing it. Shiny! Got a lot of wire brushing left to do and cleaning up on there, but I got the part that I wanted done. We're gonna let that cure. I'll get inside there and do more when we get a chance. The fifth wheel plate, we flipped it upside down, cleaned it up as much as I could. It's painted as well. It's drying sort of in the sunlight. And so now we're gonna switch gears because we're running out of things to do to this engine. It's getting really close. The big difference between this engine and the old engine is this engine is all mechanical. No electronic throttle control. It's all linkage. But this truck was set up with electronic. So the throttle positioning sensor is built into your foot pedal here. So when you press it, there's no cable going to your fuel pump. It's just going right to the computer saying, hey, open the injectors or however it works, crank the fuel pump up, whatnot. So we got to take that foot pedal out of here and get a linkage set up. And thankfully, out back, as we take a little walk, we can go to the 378. Sorry guys, I know it was not a 379. Made a mistake. It's a 378. Even says on the door. Don't know how we missed that. The 378. And we'll pull that foot pedal off and then adjust the linkage on that to work with this engine. Here's the hood. As you guys can see, paint's all shot. One of the many reasons why we decided to scrap the truck. Stuff like this. Fenders breaking off. I mean, this hood's got life still to it. There's cracks all up and around. This part got hit before we bought the truck. Someone did a fiberglass patch job and never finished it. That's how it's looked ever since we bought the truck. Oh, hey, look at that. There he is.
It's got like an Allen head wrench on the top.
Oh no, really? Doors are all shot. Linkage is all shot. Door gaskets are all shot, missing half of it. He's taking the foot pedal right now. This is what we're gonna try to get out because we want that piece. I mean, there's just, oh, there's a hand.
What?
Oh, never mind. Seats shot. I even put upholstery on this bottom piece when we first got it because it was just junk. And of course, your cracked frame. Now, there's some components. Drop axle's probably in good shape, would work for a long time. That fifth wheel plate's got a little bit of life left in it. There's things back here that are still good. But when you're said and done, there's so much of this truck that needs work that, I mean, you'd be weighing it more than 6,000. That's what we bought that truck for.
What do you think about the idea of doing like a Flintstone? You know, I just run, push the truck.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. But you have to wear one of those leopard skins.
Oh, well, I could pull that off.
Yeah, that's true. Dents in the fuel tank. Bent up air cleaner. And the bumper's bent too, but it's on the ground. You can't really tell. So, none more reasons why that truck is being retired. All right, I'm just following my arms around. I'm not sure. He said something about an Allen head and Allen wrench. I don't know, his business. He's taking care of it. So, we're a little loose in there, huh? I mean, I go and see what they cost for a new pedal. It's just all wore out right there.
It's just wore out.
There's supposed to be bushings in there, or is that always just?
I don't know. I mean, it'll work fine. It just goes.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll run another
blah, blah.
5 million miles.
Blah, blah, blah.
Huh. Okay, well, I'll go look and see what it would take to get one of those.
Now I gotta see if they have a hole.
I bet there's supposed to be bushings in there.
I mean, I could make them on.
It's been wearing into the side of the aluminum right there, so it's been sideways.
There's a part number right there.
There should be probably some washers in there. Yeah, there's a part number right there. What is that? 029D90. Okay, we'll look that up. So, I just took apart the old pedal, and it's oblonged out the holes a little bit in the aluminum. Here's the original rod. You can see the marks in it where it's been wearing. So I'm going to go find another one of these. We're going to make a new one, and we're going to try to salvage this because, well, I think it's got a lot of life left in it. And a new one of those is real expensive. And the whole point of this is a budget truck, right? So let's see what we got. It looks like a rod. That might work. That's close to size. What's this? Oh, here we go. I bet that's it right there. Let's cut this up. Ooh, it might be a little bigger. Oh, it's really close.
Back at it in the shop. Nick's got some stuff going on today. He's going to be out of the shop for today. My dad will be around. He'll help me out. Basically, what we got left on this motor and the truck is we got to finish the AC lines. All the coolant lines are hooked up. All of the fuel line, transmission lines. The engine's ready for oil. The transmission's ready for oil. We'll put water in the radiator in the engine, and we'll use a flush to kind of circulate that and clean it up. Because if you remember, when I pulled the coolant out of that motor, it was pretty nasty. So we need to try to run the motor and get that circulated with the stuff to flush it, to clean it out, drain it. Might have to do it again depending on how it looks, and then we'll add coolant in the motor. Now, you're probably thinking, well, what do we have left? I mean, the coolant lines and the turbo lines and boost lines and all that good stuff, the air filter, that's all on. Well, we have wiring. So I gotta hook up the starter, which is super easy to do, but I have to find what wires go where on the motor. Now, it's not plug and play because this motor that was in here was computer controlled. This is mechanical. This harness here plugged into the ECU or ECM, I don't know which term is correct, and that would run to the gauges and your key switch and run all that stuff. And it also had your throttle, which we're replacing to a mechanical linkage, so we won't need that. But I have to pull the dash apart. I got to find out what key switch goes to one of these wires, and then I need to find my alternator. I need to find my coolant and a few other gauges out of this harness. And once I find those, then I can attach them onto the engine. This truck here didn't come with Jake brakes, so we have to run wires from the engine into the cab to run a switch to Jake brakes. So there's a few things for me to do, obviously. So it's not too bad. Honestly, this is a pretty simple, in my opinion, a pretty simple job, just takes time. What was difficult for me is when our Series 1 Big Bud, I had to build a harness for that engine because the harness was ripped in half and there was like 50 to 60 some wires that are all black. And so I had a sheet to look at what pin goes where, and I think I added like 350 feet of wire that's soldered into that harness to make it longer. It was a nightmare. It took me 2 weeks to do. This here, piece of cake. Not even a question, not even a problem. So I'm not worried about it, just gonna take me time. So yeah, I think this truck is gonna be a pretty sweet truck when we're done. Yeah, there's a little bit of rust, a little surface rust. It's not like major, but for us, it's kind of sad because we're not used to that. Other guys, this is nothing. But overall, it's a really clean truck, and it's going to be a solid running truck for us. And if anything really happens to the engine or transmission, easy components to fix. So, yeah, I'm pretty jacked about this truck. I think it's going to be a good fit on the farm. And then we're going to have a sweet trailer behind this thing, so it's going to be a very clean-looking rig. Might not be the most classiest looking, but it's going to be a clean looking. So one thing I'm doing is I'm going to the other motor that's in the building and I'm grabbing stuff off, like for example, this here is your reverse switch on your transmission. So when you put it in reverse, it'll light up your back lights. The connector on this is different than the one that's on the transmission on this truck. So if I take the one off of that truck, put it on here, the connector will connect right onto it. And then for example, you've got these little sensors right here that go into the bell housing. So this one here is actually your tachometer, goes on your bell housing, and it senses off the ring gear of the flywheel. Every time it rotates, those little teeth, it pulsates. So however fast it rotates will tell your tachometer to increase speed or lower the speed. So that's very crucial. So I pulled this off of the other one, and because the one that came off of this motor has 2 wires coming off of it, this one only has one wire, figured, you know what, I'll put that one in. And then of course, I figured, you know what, while I'm at it, I'll go ahead and stick this one here, which is your speedometer. So however fast you're going down the road, that goes on the back of the transmission. I'll just put that one on. Took the harness off there. So I'm just kind of eliminating the little things along to see what I need to do. I found out this wire here goes to your AC compressor pump. So I need to splice into this wire here and do a couple other things. But where this one's located is right on top of the transmission. I'm glad Nick didn't put this cover on. All right, so this one needs to be removed. As you can tell, there's 2 wires that are just clipped on there. And you know what? I think before I remove it, I'm gonna take an air chuck and blow that real quick. All right, now that I got that out, or the transmission a little cleaner, let's screw this off. There it is right there. There's the old one. And here's the new one. Just goes right in that little tiny hole there. And there we go. This is the new one I need to put in. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on this side here. And this is going inside the bell housing, and it's going to read off of the flywheel teeth, or somewhere inside. So I just need to screw this in, and I checked the length on both of them, the one that came out of this and the one that's going in. And the jam nut, that's what they call this thing, at least in my understanding. That's the same distance on both of them, so if I just get this one pretty much to the same, I think we should be pretty golden. So yeah, and somebody decided to put a little bit of paint on those threads. But it's gonna be a nice snug fit. Won't rattle itself out. You know what, I should probably find a tap. Yeah, I don't like that. I'm gonna take it back out and see if I can find a tap or something to clean those threads up. Because if I damage this, that's gonna be a bad day. So I didn't think about putting a plug in that hole when I was doing that. I mean, maybe on this side. Will this slide better on this side? We'll see. I mean, it's going in a lot easier. I might have to lengthen that cord to plug it in. But that's not the end of the world. Actually, this is way nicer on this side. I'll do that. 'Cause I'm not sure if I have a tap that'll fit this thread. I might. It looks kind of weird though. Getting there. Tell you one thing, this thing isn't gonna rattle itself out. It's got a nice little seal in it, pretty much. Oop, there we go. Yeah, I'll just have to lengthen that line, and I think it'll be good. Went ahead and got the starter hooked up with all the power and ground. There's two wires here that are the key switch to activate the starter. They were broken off from the other starter. They're just corroded. So I gotta find out which one, when you push the key, turn the key on and push the button, which one energizes, and then that one's the one I need to go to the starter. But what I also need to do is on this harness right here that goes to the ECU, I need to find out when I turn the key on which ones activate power, so I can basically take that wire and hook it up to the solenoid on the fuel pump, so that way I can run. So when you turn the key on, activates it, we start it, runs, turn the key off, it shuts it off. So I just put a battery on. Let's go ahead and turn the key on. Okay, it's beeping. When I go on the pins here, I'm taking the test light. I'm gonna see which ones light up. Okay, that one doesn't. Oh, that one does. That one does. Okay, so right in this area right here is the ones. And this one here is a fairly heavy wire. That activates. I'm gonna use that one. So I'll cut that one right there, and that's the one I'll use to activate the fuel pump, right?